Welcome back to Clear Talk. On this episode, we're going to talk about how to create urgency when making a sale to one of your prospects.
And then we talk about how to adapt to every single audience on social media.
And then what you need to know before getting into a position of leadership. By the way, let us know in the comments below, as an entrepreneur, what do you sell in the marketplace? Enjoy the show. Welcome back to Clear Talk. I'm your host, Arvin Chaffee. This is my co-host,
Jeanette Oduro.
And this is the #1 show for entrepreneurs who need clarity, where we answer your questions about entrepreneurship. If you're a coach, if you're a speaker, if you're a business owner, if you're a startup, I don't care where you're at. If you want some perspective on your situation, your problems, your questions, we can bring them to you after years and years of entrepreneurship of our own and successfully building businesses and multiple companies. We absolutely know we can give you some valuable perspective. Want to help out for free. So this is it's gonna be a fun show. I think we have lots of questions as well. How many questions we got?
We got a lot.
We got a whole list of questions.
We got a lot. Definitely.
We're gonna do or is there questions from? Is the most recent question or the ones? Are we still trying to catch up with all the questions we haven't answered yet?
We are technically still trying to catch up, but we do have some newer submissions that we're gonna bump up to the top and get those questions answered first.
Okay, cool. So yeah, listen, if you're on Facebook right now, by the way, welcome everybody. Hit that share button right now and do a quick share challenge so that everyone else can tune in with us. And leave a comment down below if you're excited right now. If you're here, hit that like button. If you're on Instagram, send us as a DM to somebody so they can join us as well and tune in. And if you're on YouTube, if you like content on entrepreneurship, building a coaching business, or getting your questions answered about how to balance everything when you're obsessed with a goal, then hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell so that we can bring you valuable free content on a weekly basis. Also, if you have questions you want answered on the show, all you got to do is go to askarmin.com and submit your questions there, and I will actually answer it with Jay on the show every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time live. So I'm ready if you are for the questions.
I am ready. Let's do it. So our first question comes to us from Abdul Zaman. So, hey Armin, a question for you. How can one become consistent in urgency as well as initializing curiosity towards a new business prospect to keep them from defecting away from what's being shared with them? Can you enlighten some phrases or either a guide to me so that I'm able to fulfill in gaining leads and also aspects of building upon an online presence? So that is a multifaceted question, but we're going to break it down to the first one. So how can one become consistent in urgency as well as initializing curiosity towards new business prospects?
Can you simplify the language for me?
How do I create urgency when I'm approaching a new business prospect in addition to keeping them engaged?
One more time. Just like you can dumb it down even more, as if I'm in 5th grade.
How do I create urgency when approaching new prospects?
For who? Urgency for?
For the prospect, for the business model, for what I'm selling.
What is he selling?
He doesn't say. No, does not say.
Abdul, if you're going to ask such a loaded question, I would think it's very important to at least leave in context what you do. Because if you're selling a car versus selling a home versus selling a goldfish, I think it's a very different process for urgency. So I can't really answer that. I mean, do you have an answer for that?
For general urgency, I mean, it depends on what your niche market is, like what kind of product you're selling. If you know who your target market is.
Can you guys check if, by the way, he gets on live? Abdul, look for an Abdul.
Yeah.
On either Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, basically I would say if you know who you're marketing towards, I would pique their interest based on what your unique selling proposition is. So whatever your business model is, whatever is unique and special about it, I would try to push that to the forefront, but it obviously has to be relevant to your market. Like Armin said, it is a little difficult if we don't know what exact industry you're in. But, piquing interest comes down to creating curiosity. So getting people interested in what you have to say. So keeping some of your powder dry is a what's the word I'm talking about? Like an idiom for, giving them what they need, but still allowing them to come to you with more questions and information later. But yeah, it's kind of hard to create urgency if you don't know the business model. But what would be your blanket?
My blanket is give context next time.
Give context, Abdul.
If you're gonna answer such a complicated question, like you notice I had to go 3 levels down in simplicity.
Yeah.
Like your own brain is complicating the process and making it super long for no reason. When you ask a question, if you can't answer it in one sentence, if you can't ask the question in one sentence in a simplified language, I don't think you get it. Or you're just hyperbolizing everything. Like, are you asking, how do I close a sale faster? Or how do I get the prospect to not want to follow up later and want to buy on the first time? You can ask that directly if you're asking that. Mm-hmm. And for that answer, and if you think urgency is the answer for that, right? The question about is urgency. It's just a matter of figuring out how that result of whatever you're selling impacts their life. What negative effects or impacts in their life does your product solve today? So I'll give you an example. When I sell my coaching programs online, I always ask the question, what do you want? And they say, I want to get to this place. And I go, well, what is not having that an issue today about? Let me rephrase it. I'll say, what is not having that right now? How is that negatively affecting your life today? So if you're not making 10 grand a month as a coach, how is that negatively impacting your life today? Like during this phone call right now, what's happening that you need that's bothering you that if you had 10 grand a month it would fix? And they would go on into telling me all the current situations they're having. And I just ask a simple following question: when do you want to fix this? And if they say now, if they say later, I go, so these problems are not important enough to fix? Like, you think you want to wait 2 more months with these problems and then how does that make sense? They go, no, I want to fix it now. All right, great. So my product does that. So that's how I create. I don't even sell. I more so ask questions and the person realizes it's for them. So, but in terms of urgency, depending on what you sell, it depends. But it's just you have to figure out what is not having the result of what your product does for them, negatively impacting them today. If you're selling a car and the car they have is causing them problems and they keep paying for, checkups and it makes noises and they're late to work every day, well, you don't know that until you ask the question, well, what is not having a new car solve today? And if they go, well, every morning I have to spend 15 minutes trying to start my car because it's broken. Is that not important to fix right now? Well, yeah, it is. Okay, so get the car. So it's just a matter of them realizing their current situation. I would answer it that way. What's the next part of his question?
I think Abdul, I remember him from last week. I think he does copywriting or something like that. So what if it's like a skill that you're helping businesses with?
Same thing. What is not having your service, how is it negatively impacting their life today? Not your service, the result of your service.
Yeah.
That's how you look at it.
Well, in the last episode, we discussed, especially in terms of coaching people in a coaching business, you're not gonna enlighten them on the fact that they need your coaching unless they hate where their specific circumstances today, right? So the same thing would apply for a product until they realize I need your product. I need to face what is happening in my everyday life, like Armin described. They're not really going to get that little extra push, but you get there through the process of your sale and through the questions that you ask them to get to the point of, you know what, you're right. I need this product or service today because I can't get it tomorrow. So that would be the first part of Abdul's question. So
what's the second part?
The second is, can you enlighten some phrases or either a guide to me so that I'm able to fulfill in gaining leads and also aspects of building upon an online presence?
It's 5th grade level, not try again.
Can you give me a guide so that I'm able to get new leads and build upon my online presence?
Can you one more level? What do you mean by guide? What does he mean by guide?
Just phrases or a suggestion, things to say.
What does that mean? Oh, say?
Yeah, he said some phrases or either a guide. So what kind of statements would you make? Do you have a specific system on how you gain leads based on your online presence?
Yeah, I run ads. Learn how to run Facebook ads. And build a webinar. Because it nurtures your leads. If you spend a lot of time with content and try to get leads, then you're going to waste your time trying to qualify each one to see if they're even worth your time. I put up a system where by the time I get on the phone with somebody, they're extremely qualified, more than a general lead. So for that reason, I get smaller amounts of leads, like actual leads that I waste, I actually put my time in on a call with, but they're qualified. So the close rate is very high because it's the right match. and put out content every day. Like we put out content every day on our social media. So that's my only answer to that. I mean.
Okay. If you're not ready to make leads yet on Facebook, I would suggest going the content route.
Ads?
Yeah, sorry, ads. If you're not ready to make ads yet on Facebook or on Instagram, for example, I would say yes, start with content. If you're talking about building on your online presence, start by making content and seeing who's consistently liking your post. See who's consistently commenting. You can, when you change for example, if you change your Instagram profile to a business profile, you can start to look at things like insights. So if you see who's sharing what with who, you know that they're kind of interested because they shared your post with somebody, right? You can just slide into their DMs, not for that reason, but for the, hey, thank you for liking my post. Thank you for liking my comment. Are you interested in some of my services? Can I tell you a little bit more about what I can do? You know, don't be afraid to go follow your marketplace once they've shown you that they like your stuff. Like if they like your content and they're consistently on your page, you can definitely slide into their DMs and say, hey, how are you? Like, here's what I do. Let me know if I can help you sometime, or offer them a free service or something like that. So I would say that's a good beginner step.
And when you want to build a real business, just like slide into my DM and ask me how.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's called a job. Not that it's not bad advice, but it's called a job.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's a very low level activity. Like it's definitely for if you're just starting out and you want to get there. But if you're ready to make.
She did say one thing though that I do recommend, which is giving out free service, like messaging people that are your ideal client and offering free things to them. And if you're a coach, I don't mean a free discovery session where you try to sell them. I mean like an actual free coaching session, a real one. Real service. I had someone slide into my DMs and he won me over because he said, I'm going to do copywriting for you for 7 days of email copy for free. And all I'm asking for is a testimonial. I'm like, man, that's the right character you got there. So even though I didn't need a copywriter, I still let him do it. And I checked out his stuff and, you know, I gave something back in return to him. So he's doing it the right way. You know, shout out to Elio because he did it the right way. So go out there and go the extra mile. Go and offer service before paid. And it'll eventually work out. But you need a business model. Like, you need an actual system. If you don't have a system, you don't have a business, you have a job. What's the next part of his question?
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Cool. That's a good question. It would just, you know.
Yeah, give us a little bit more context next time, Abdul, but thank you for submitting your question.
And simplify, man.
Yeah.
Simplify.
All right, question number 2. This is going to be a long one again. Some people are afraid if other people are more... This is by New Rule. New Rule. Awanis, yeah.
Okay.
So some people are afraid if other people are more successful, luckier, richer, and happier. How do I handle this situation? If some people are less fortunate, how do I make them feel better, and how do I help them so that they can improve their lives too? I'm not rich, but I want to be rich so that I can help myself, my family, my friends, and anybody who needs help. But negativity keeps coming to me and trying to bring me down, and it's kind of hard to maintain my cool and stay calm. How do I handle this? So if I was to sum it up, he's basically asking, how can I deal with the negativity around me and stay focused on my goal so I can help people?
What's your answer?
Part of my answer would be if you were really focused on your goals and what you're doing, you wouldn't have the time to think about this.
That would have been my answer.
I think I stole that directly from Armin's brain bank. But yeah, man, if you're focused on what you're doing, that stuff really doesn't matter. Like people's negativity, you can genuinely start to phase it out. The more that you're focused on your goal is one. Number 2, I would follow up that by saying like, who around you is bringing negativity into your life, and if they're doing it on a consistent basis, then you shouldn't have them around you in general. One thing that's really important while you're trying to achieve your goals in life is making sure that your circle is in harmony with what you want to do. And if you are constantly having to hear that like I'm da 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 blah 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 blah, it's just annoying. Not even the fact that it's deterring you from your goal, it's just annoying. Why would you want to deal with that? So just start to separate yourself from those people. Remain focused on your goal, and you know, I recognize the fact that you want to help people, you want to be able to use your riches for good in the future, and you'll be able to do that by being a person of impact, dealing with yourself, learning about yourself, and focusing on your own goals to get there. That'd be my answer.
I agree. No, sir, that's my answer too. You know, go fix your own problems, and then help other people with their problems. You can't fix a problem if you don't know how to fix problems. And don't have a circle. It's just you for now. You don't need a circle. Circles are distracting. When you start out, just your circle is just you and yourself in there, in your own mind. That's it. And just focus. When mom, dad, sibling says something to you, instead of worrying about what they said, think about what to do next about your goal to make it happen. That's it. It's that simple. When you put on a shirt you don't like, you don't sit there and complain about the shirt. You take it off and change your shirt, right? So just change your thought. As soon as something comes in, you go, okay, I don't want to. Okay, well, what do I want to work on for my goal? That's it. That's it. It's simple. The answer to your question is simple. So don't take it for granted just because it's simple. You do that long enough, you'll find yourself in a different life. Where negativity doesn't bother you because you have so much results around you from your focus that you're so convinced you know what you're doing and what you want that you're good at it. That no one's opinion matters anymore. But when you lack results, it's hard to base your confidence on zero. It's like it's hard to keep this table up without legs. You need some legs under the table. So go do something about it. Go solve problems. Go get some progress. Those progress become little legs for the table. Eventually you'll be standing on your own. You don't need anyone else to hold you up.
I like that. Good analogy. Next question.
Yeah.
You mentioned on the last episode that you always ask people for their interest before you start a new project or venture. Could you explain that process? I want to know if my idea is good, but I don't want to give too much information about it. That question is from...
What was the question part of it?
Rebecca L.
Rebecca L. Thank you for submitting your question. What was the first part of the actual question?
She's really just asking about your ask campaigns.
No, I know, but can you read it one more time?
Yeah, could you explain... So, you mentioned on the last episode that you always ask people for their interest before you start a new project or venture. Could you explain that process? I want to know if my idea is good. I don't want to give too much information about it.
Yeah, if I were to sum it up, there's a whole system I have that I teach people in my program. So I would take 3 hours trying to teach it to you right now. But I'm going to sum it up for you so you understand the goal here. And if I teach you the philosophy, you can go create your own version of it, or you could just get my help and help you out with this. If you don't want to get my help to help you out with this, you can just go ahead with the philosophy of what I'm saying. So imagine this. We're trying to figure out what the marketplace's core problem is. If we find out the number one problem in their goal for fixing it, then we can create a product or a program or a service that's based around helping them achieve that goal by solving that problem. And so you really want to just go into the marketplace and ask questions that will help you understand what do they want, what do they really want, why do they want it, what's the problem that's holding them back from getting it, and what have they tried. Like maybe they've tried a bunch of things that you're even offering still, so you realize you're not that different, they wouldn't try you out anyway. So you save yourself the risk of wasting your time selling something that everyone's already tried and doesn't believe it works anymore. And you ask questions like that to figure out the psychology of your buyers so that they can tell you what they would like and what would help them. And then you create a product, service, or a marketing campaign around their answers. That's how that works. That's my greatest way I can answer you without going into a whole hour of a lesson here.
Yeah.
So create go on Google form and create a survey or a Survey Monkey. And I don't know why I said a Survey Monkey. A Survey Monkey?
Survey Monkey!
And then you just pretty much go to your marketplace, whether it's making posts online or you're in a group, go ask them or ask people directly. I don't know. I would get dozens and dozens of responses, as much as you can. 10 people telling you something is in a marketplace. You need 50, 100. You get a bunch of people giving you answers and you go, oh, okay. So this is what generally the pattern of the problem is, so that you make sure your marketing is about solving that problem, because that's what they're saying is what they want. Simple.
Simple.
There's your answer.
Love it.
So genius.
It is.
It is. It actually is genius. So I feel like my market, this is the next question, guys. I feel like my market isn't responding to posts I make on Instagram. Do you think you should cater to different audiences on certain social media platforms? That question is from Jonathan Silva.
No, your audience stays the same. All the time. You don't change your audience because of a platform. You might change your approach. I'm not a social media expert, by the way, guys. I just have a simple system that's brilliant, which is I repurpose content. That doesn't mean we're masters of content right now. That's almost like a question for Lauren, because Lauren is the one who spends all the time in her expertise to understand the social media platforms. But even Lauren will say, when we sit down, it's just a matter of, there is different approaches, right, Lauren? To different platforms. Do you have can you record that?
Yeah. I just want to read the question again. Jeanette, what's the question?
So I feel like my market isn't responding to posts I make on Instagram. Do you think you should cater to different audiences on certain social media platforms?
Yeah, so like for LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, there's a different approach for each of them. It's kind of like when you meet a different person, you kind of treat them in a certain way where it's like you fit their personality type. So LinkedIn, it's more for professionals, so you want to write in a more professional way. If it's Facebook, it's more so like family members, and you can be a little bit more casual on there. And then Instagram, it's very editorial, and people like looking at nicer things that are more crisp. So you definitely have to adjust how you write on each of them and what you post.
Okay, cool. There's your answer. But you don't change your audience.
Yes.
You just understand that your audience probably, if I'm working, so I work with coaches. If I'm working with a coach that's on LinkedIn, they're probably more of a professional coach, and they carry themselves differently, but they're still a coach.
Yes.
So I'll still speak their language, I'll still talk about their problems, but I just do it in a professional way.
Yeah.
If I'm on Instagram, I'm talking to a coach, well, that coach is probably a lot more, visually, appealing. Like they want to see, like she said, crisp. So I'll probably put up a really nice picture with a quote and speak to the coach that way, but my language is still the same. You see what I'm saying? So on Facebook, I just pretend it's me. I was going to say I pretend like it's me. It's me. I post as casually as if it's Armin. And coaches on there respond to me casually. So she's right. It's just, but still same audience.
Yes.
The approach is different. It's like this. It's like if you want to, date a woman, right? Specific type of woman, whatever, right? If you find them at a bar, you're probably going to talk to them differently than if you found them at a networking event, than if you found them at the game, or if you found them at the concert, right?
Yeah.
You're still a woman. You don't change your taste because of the place you meet the person. But it's like, you just know that the setting is different. So the environment influences the way you approach. You get what I'm saying? In a bar, you buy a drink, right? At a networking event, you probably ask them what they do. If you ask them what they do at a bar, it's kind of weird because they're like, I'm not here for that. If you buy them a drink at the networking event, they're like, you don't even care about me, So that's not how girls sound. I just give you my example.
That's how women sound in your head?
No. But that's just... if you meet them on the street and you're like, hey, you can't buy them a drink or ask them what they do, that's both awkward, so you got to do a different approach. Like, oh my God, hit their knock their books out of their head. Oh, I'm so sorry, pick them up. I did that once.
No
Fun fact, not on the street.
Story time.
I was in high school, and the way I picked up my girlfriend, it's so brilliant. Because she was like the only girl no one could have in the school, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, everyone was intimidated by her, which was so weird because she was so gentle and kind, but she seemed intimidating. But I'm like, I'm gonna get this girl. And so my friends were like, nah, man, I'm like, watch, man, I'm gonna get this. She's gonna be my girlfriend. I swear to God, I told them, I'm like, she's gonna be my girlfriend. I used to do that when I was with my teens. I would literally look at a girl, I'm like, that girl's gonna be my girlfriend. If I really wanted something, I'd just go after it. So with her, here's what happened. I can't believe the stuff I did. I think one time I just came up to her and I said hi, and she's like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And then we just started talking, and it was like a small talk. But I introduced myself. I'm like, "Hey, I'm Armin, whatever," and she goes, "Hey," and then I'm like, "Okay, cool, I'll see you later," and we left. The second time she saw me, I knew she was new in the school. She just moved here.
Yes.
I knew she would try to say hi to me, and I ignored her deliberately. So she walked by me, she's like, "Hey," and I literally looked straight and walked past her.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, and she probably awkwardly walked away, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, because I know that's like the form of hitting it,
absolutely
bumping into her. So she noticed, I didn't respond. The next day, I came up to her, I'm like, "Hey, did you call my name yesterday? I'm so sorry, I was so busy going to class, I thought I heard something." She goes, "Oh yeah, it's no big deal. I knew I was making up for it now because of what I did was I created a problem and I solved it. I created the problem and I sold the solution. This is how marketing and selling work." So I created a problem. She felt embarrassed because I didn't respond to her. It's no different than bumping into her. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, it's okay." I'm like, "No, I'm so sorry. It's not okay." And she goes, "No, it's fine. Seriously, it's just I'm like, "Listen, let me make it up to you." I'm like,
game.
I'm saluting.
Game.
I'm like, "Let me make it up to you. Let's go for lunch. I'll buy you a donut at Timmy's." And she goes, "Okay." So I take her to Timmy's. I get a nice cab with her. Back in the day, that was lunch. And we got her donuts and whatever, and we just talked. And that was my first date with her. and we just like hit her off, and I just started hanging out with her. And
Look
then
at
like
the game.
I dated her, I don't know, for like 4 or 5 months. That was like
That's a long time back
4 or
then.
5. Yeah, back then it was like 4 or 5 years. You know, every month something changes. I'm going through puberty, so like every month I'm a different man. So, and then like months into the relationship, I let her know that I did that, and she's like,
Smart.
"Hey, we're here now." So, create a problem, solve a solution, my friends. Thank you so much for coming. We'll see you next week. But yeah, so what was the question? How did I get to that story?
Basically saying, should I cater to different audiences?
Approaches are
Yes,
different. Thank you,
approaches,
Lauren, for
yes.
that answer. By the way, thank you.
The approach absolutely has to be different.
Has to be different.
Yeah, but your audience is the same no matter what. I think that a lot of times what will happen, and I know that we got comments, but a lot of times what will happen is you try to change it's like you're trying to change your voice to cater to different people.
But don't change you.
But you shouldn't change you. You have to just change the approach.
You need to be you, boo-boo.
Yeah, be you, boo-boo. But no, like genuinely be who you are, and you can maybe just change the delivery on the thing. But you have one form, you have one thing that you want to say, and just alter it based on the certain platforms. But don't change your specific voice. Don't change your message. Whoever you want to cater to based on your target market for your product is who you're talking to all the time.
That's it. That's the answer.
That's okay.
What comments?
Comments? Where are we at?
Tamara says he speaks truth.
Okay.
What platform? Is this?
It's Facebook.
Armin's Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jessica says hi.
Hi, Jessica.
And
Thanks, Tamara.
Instagram's just waves.
Are you on my Instagram?
No, I'm on Armin's Instagram and Armin's Facebook right now.
Go on her Instagram. Or sorry.
Don't leave his Instagram just to check. Yeah, I know that there's people talking though, so just
we
scroll
have
up.
comments on your Instagram. I'm seeing laugh out loud from Oh My God Daniel.
Oh, what's up, man?
And
You've
then,
watched
Oh
our
My
show
God
for a
Daniel said
Yes, he
nothing.
has.
This is LOL. And Oh My God, Daniel said such a great insight.
Yeah.
We have laughing emoji. We have thumbs up. We have hearts.
You tell me you guys haven't tried that before?
That approach?
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Stop. You do the whole
Girls
like...
don't really pick up guys though. I mean, like
No, for men. I'm saying if the guy's watching.
men.
Have you not?
Men.
It's called the make it up approach. Like you go and make it up for something. It's such an easy way to get the person like to want to hang out.
You get me. For
By the way,
sure.
if they don't like you, you'll find that then. Like if I'm like, hey, let me make it up to you, I'll get you dinner. She goes, no, I'm okay. I'll know she doesn't like me. So I'm like,
That's
all right,
true.
no.
That's
But I
true.
didn't have to go. Do you want to go on a date with me? She goes, no. I go, that didn't have to happen. I dodged that by creating a filtrated system, like a little filtrated scenario, so that I can
smart.
I can like save face if she says no. So if she didn't want to take my donut for free because I want to make up for what I did was wrong, which also shows my character because I'm making up for it, right? Then I don't have to walk away thinking I got rejected. More so, she rejected her free donut. So she rejected herself if she said no to me.
Who would have been the real loser?
Yeah.
If she said
Her. Her. Armin was okay. Armin was busy going to school, at work, or to the class, and didn't notice, and came to be a good person. And you said no. You're the bad person.
Oh my
Whereas
god.
the other version is I go, hi, my name's Armin, donut, and she goes, no. But then I would have like cried myself to sleep that night, and all my friends. They shut their face because I did what I said.
That's so smart. I love
Do what you say in life.
That's a really good date thing. Good idea.
Listen, if you ever want to find love, go and hurt their feelings first.
Don't
and
do
then
that.
make them feel better after.
Don't do that.
I'm joking. But what you want to do is you want to create a need for your service. That's actually how you do marketing.
That's true,
You
yeah.
want to create a need for the service.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? By the way, this is actually a psychology. Later on, I started to study like something called game. And that's just like men teaching other men how to pick up women. It's like but like for a sport. Like it's like we're all having fun. So women go out to have fun, guys go out to have fun. So it's like if you learn the dynamics of being social with people, then what you do is you get good at this thing for socializing. So simply, it's about this game thing teaches that you want to like elevate a woman. This I'm telling you what I learned from game. I'm not saying this is I don't know. I don't really have an opinion about this, but it's what I learned and it works. It's like you want to compliment the woman so they feel great, but remember everyone's complimenting them, so it's kind of like a sea of compliments, so they're drowning. So it's nice for a guy to to have like the courage to like bring them down a little bit to push them back up because it creates like variety. It's like exciting. So you'll like compliment them and then you'll insult them very mildly, and then they'll be like, "What?" And then you're joking, so they go, "What?" And then like they like that.
The girls call it banter these days.
Banter?
They call it banter.
I didn't know that. So and then the guy has courage to do that, and the girl likes it because it's like something different, and then back up. So it's the same thing. You're creating a need for your service. You're creating a need for the compliment, need for the date, need for the. That's all I did. I just didn't want to go in with like nothing to offer. You see the problem? I'm coming in with just coming to offer, and like she probably gets that all the time. But if I put her in a position where, you know, it'd be weird for her not to accept my apology with me making up for it, she'd be in a weird place. So it's like the genius of this is even if she wasn't interested, she still felt like I should probably go and like this guy wants to give me a donut, because you know. So let me just go, and I probably want her over on the date.
Magic.
Iman has a question.
My Instagram's got comments too. Let me know what they say.
Yeah, I do have a question here.
Dude, why don't you just hold on? Why don't you just grab my phone? Grab my phone. And I'll open her up on her live. There's no point in doing that. Here. Yeah, what's the question?
Go ahead, Iman.
Yeah, it's about the question that we were discussing.
Come on.
before.
Hey, bro, just come into the shop, man. You're not a ghost. Come.
Go ahead, Iman. Yeah.
Is it Instagram or Facebook?
It's Instagram.
Okay.
It was the previous question we were discussing. Like it completely makes sense that you don't have to actually change your audience and stuff like that. It's all about the approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there's a small problem that's underlying it. Is if you're catering to too many. Say you're on Instagram and you're a coach and you're putting out content like coaching content, right? For your type of clients or people who want to work with you, then it makes sense. But are your followers who actually have relevancy towards coaching? If you have like 1,000 followers and 800 of them are like kids just liking your post because you put something cool, then whatever you put out, there's going to be no engagement because it's not relevant to them. So keeping it consistently relevant, your information and for followers coming from that actually is like the first thing that you do need to focus on. If you have 1,000 people who are interested in the content you put out, then there will be engagement.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, that's actually very important.
Yeah. So with our answer, we made the assumption that everybody in your audience is interested, and you have to make sure that your audience is interested, everyone is engaged, find those people.
Yeah, like your audience has to be relevant.
Yeah.
Here, Jeanette's at the
and
top.
We have
Also, can you-
Armin's Instagram.
Yeah.
Mina says hello.
Now do it over there.
And Nasi
No,
Iqbali
you got it.
says
Just step
hi.
in.
I'm
Just don't
I'm
make this
undertaking
uncomfortable.
for the coach in New Jersey.
Sorry, the faster you do it, the better it is. The shorter, the like hesitance you have, it becomes long and uncomfortable. Like we just did
just
it.
let it go,
If you
let
do
it
it
go.
quick, it doesn't matter. Yeah, go ahead.
Nasi Iqbali says I'm under training for life coach in New Jersey. Is Armin Persian? Question mark.
Well, how does those two parts connect to each other?
I have no idea.
I think
Say it one more time.
So,
You hit me with like a cold, wet fish. Like you're like blah blah blah. Random question. Go ahead.
So Nasi says I'm under training for life coach in New
Under
Jersey.
Okay,
her
cool.
First
What's
first
up
comment.
from NJ?
And the next comment was, is Armin Persian? Question mark.
Yes.
That's
what
about
did
it.
they say?
That's about it.
Yeah. Good.
Oh my God, Daniel said I love it.
Okay, cool. So go on. You good, right?
Yeah, I'm on it, but
You know what to do?
obviously now the comments are gonna.
You're gonna
Yeah.
see in front. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. What's the next question? I
Sounds
want to
good.
breeze through questions. Let's keep going.
So, next question. I've been an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember, but your last episode talked about making that transition to a business owner with a team, etc. I've always thought that I should get some help and expand. How can I get into the mindset of a business owner? What should my next steps be?
Okay. What kind of business?
Doesn't say. Did not provide info.
Send me a direct message. Depending on the business you build, I might be able to help you build that system out. You know, and hire people and everything. Because that's what I do, right? So if you like, send me a DM if you're watching this. Who is this by?
No name.
Oh, whatever. If you're watching, make sure you send me a DM and I will show you how to do that. But what is the exact question? How do you do it?
Yeah, like how do I get into the mindset of a business owner? What should my next steps be? So basically, they watched our last episode where we talked about the difference between entrepreneurship.
Because they've been an entrepreneur for so long.
Yes, and they're like, okay, I need to build a team. I need to expand. Where should my next thoughts go first?
If you can afford it, which you always can, get somebody who's done it and just get them to teach you how to do it. If you hate your time, do it alone. Like, if you love your time, and there's only so much of it, and you never get it back, then get somebody to just shorten the curve for you and show you what to do. And if you genuinely, if you're an entrepreneur, that means you have money. And if you don't, you're not an entrepreneur because you don't know how to make money. So, but you should have money. Get somebody to show you how to do it. If you don't, you need to start to study what CEOs of companies are like. Like start to study and watch interviews with people that run companies, because that's a business owner. That's a person who owns a business that's operating. They're not entrepreneurs. They're entrepreneurial, but they own businesses. So that's my answer actually to that. Just study them. Find someone to help you, or to study all of the ones out there so that you can see what they're like and how their thoughts are different than yours, because their beliefs is required for them to develop what they've developed.
Yeah. So that's a good one. I would definitely promote that or say that as well. In addition to that, I would take inventory of what your current skill set is with your business model. Like if you're thinking about expanding, especially for different team members and things like that, take a look at what you already know, what you already have, see the holes. So what you may or may not need in terms of a certain employee or a certain skill set within yourself too. You're like, okay, I've learned this thing and I'm really, really good at this. This thing is a weakness. For sure, I'm going to need some help with that. Once you know what you're strong in and what you do need to improve on, I think that'll help you as well take the next steps. Like, for example, we've mentioned Fiverr a lot on this show. Like, if you know that you hate making your social media images or something, you can find somebody on Fiverr for next to nothing. But you're not going to know that unless you take your inventory of, what's working, what's not, what you'd like to outsource. So I would do that, definitely. Break down your business model, break down your strengths, break down your weaknesses. Absolutely, you need a coach if you are thinking of taking the next step. That's a mandatory step, is finding someone who's going to help you get there and help you along that process of even just the expansion on your own. They'll provide you with expertise and knowledge for when you hit a roadblock or things like that, things that you may not even be prepared for yet. So absolutely look for a coach, take a look at what you have, take a look at what you don't have. And I think that that's a great base to start.
If you were working with me, I would tell you the first thing to do is to just start with one hire, and that's an assistant. An assistant can literally just do what you do, but all the things that you can delegate, that you give to them, you focus on doing what you're doing better. And so just having two people on your team, like you and the person, is just a start to building a real business. Because an assistant takes care of all the minuscule things that you can't think about, the details, while you think about the bigger things. So that's what I would say.
Awesome.
What's the next question?
What advice would you give someone who is transitioning into a position of leadership?
It's a good question. Context is important.
Yeah. Let's assume this is in the workplace.
I hope you know, if you ever watch a show and you ask vague questions like this, if someone asks a vague question and that host start to blurt out answers, that is incredibly inaccurate information. Because unless the person has real context of that specific situation you're in, how can they give you any advice? I just want you to know, that's why I freeze when I hear your questions, because I'm trying to sit there that could mean so many things. I can advise on what? Your thinking, your execution of it, who you're leading, how you're dealing with problems, what specific industry and what specific business, and you see the problem? So if I were to just go out and start answering, just know that I'm full of it. I'm full of it if I start answering your question without any context. If you hear anyone else giving you answers with zero context, maybe it's the coach in me, because I have to ask so many questions before I understand
it. It could be, yeah.
I don't see how you can answer the question. But if you're getting general leadership advice.
General, yes.
General. Okay, I'll give you a couple things that matter in every scenario. One, your vision for where you're going must be bigger than the people that are helping you. Your vision, where you're going, has to be bigger than the vision of your people. The moment anyone in your team has a bigger vision than you about where to go, they will eventually either take your spot or take your team. So if your vision is small, if your vision is not big, like bigger than everyone around you, they won't see why they should follow you there. Because they want to get to the bigger place. They just don't know if it can happen, but you do. Because of your level of confidence in it. Which leads me to the second thing, which would be certainty. Your level of certainty in everything must be above like everyone else who's helping you out. Now, that doesn't mean you want people uncertain. My entire team here is certain in where we're going. But they know when push comes to shove at the last line of things, even if they kind of like doubt, they know I won't. You see the thing right there? Like, they know I won't doubt. I've developed a muscle of certainty, which is I know where I'm going. I know where this business is going. I know we're doing the right things, right? I know we're going to figure it out. These are certainties I have. My level of certainty creates like faith and confidence in my leadership, which I think we talked about. You guys were telling me about why you love working here with me, right? So your vision must be big. No leader leads anyone with a small-minded, small-sized thinking. Your certainty must be unshakable in yourself first, in your business, in your idea, and in your people. Certainty in your people is important as well. And the last thing I would say is you need a philosophy of success. And so go buy Think and Grow Rich, the book, and start reading it. Because if you're an uneducated individual, you cannot lead others. If you're an uneducated individual, you cannot lead others. If you're not constantly growing, challenging yourself, and leading yourself to bigger and better things, you cannot do that for others. So, and remember this, last thing is I would say this. Leadership is a byproduct. It's not a goal. You don't set a goal to become a leader. This doesn't work that way. You set a goal to achieve something. And the byproduct of achieving it, the necessary quality you need is leadership. Because you can't get there without help. I'm going to say that again. You don't set a goal to become a leader. That's a byproduct. You set a goal to achieve something, and the side effect is you must develop leadership to get there. Because you can't get there alone. So, you shouldn't be focused on being a good leader. In fact, when I see people trying to focus on being a good leader, they waste a lot of time. Because they're taking their focus away from the thing that's making them the leader, which is their goal. See, if my goal is big enough and I have certainty in it, I will work towards it relentlessly, thus giving me the side effect, the byproduct of being a leader to the people helping me get there. See what I'm saying? Because I'm the lead. I'm running towards it the fastest. The moment I stop running towards the goal and I stop to think, am I leading you guys well? Are you too far behind? Should I slow down? Should I say it like this? What happens is I start distracting myself and the team from the goal. I remember one time I was sitting in the office and I did this. I'm like, is there a better way I can do things? So I asked the whole team. In like 10 minutes we wasted our time, thanks to me, because I started to actually question. I'm like, am I doing my best? And I asked everyone, I'm like, when I do this, does it help you guys or does it not? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, when I do this, does it help or not? And they go, well, it's good. Iman's looking at me and he's like, bro, just keep doing what you're doing. It's good. He's very straight. He's like, bro, just keep doing what you're doing. We like it. It's good. And everyone else is like, well, yeah, that's good. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Why? Because I, for a moment, had to split a level of uncertainty and like, I started thinking about how do I be a good leader? Why? As long as I'm good to myself, I'm a good person, I have a positive attitude, and I work towards something, I'm in the position of leading because I'm focused on where we're going, right? It's like, example, you're on my shit, and I'm steering it like the captain. The only reason I'm the captain is why? Because we have a destination to get to. If we didn't have a destination to get to, there's no need for a captain. Boat doesn't have to go anywhere. But because we do, my job is to stay focused on the destination and steer and run the team so that we get there. In the, I don't know what it's called. It's cockpit in the airplane. In the captain's room, whatever.
No,
I wasn't asking for a mixtape right now.
I'm trying to think.
So in the captain's room, I'm responsible for making sure the team works in there to get to the destination with the boat. Now, what if I got out and I started asking everyone in the thing, I'm like, hey guys, am I being rough on you? Like, do you want me to be like this more? Should we have morning meetings so that we're all inspired to get to the destination? Imagine. They'd be like, no cap, we're trying to just get to the goal. Trying to get to where we're going. Imagine I got out and I went to all the passengers on the boat. Hey guys, are you guys comfortable here? Are you doing fine? Like, is there anything better I could do? Where am I not? In the captain room steering the ship.
It's called cabin.
The what?
Cabin.
The cabin. I'm not at the cabin steering the ship.
Thanks, Iman.
So, like, ultimate point of my moral of the story here is to stay focused on your goal. And you'll find if your goal is big enough, you'll need help. And when that happens, you will attract people because they see your vision, because you're living it, and they go, I want to be a part of that. And then you start to get help. But because you're focused on the destination, if you're not focused and you start worrying about leadership and stuff, and it's ironic because you start being a bad leader. Because you're now being a captain for the sake of being a captain, not for the purpose of what your position fulfills, which is to get somewhere. Some of my dust got on your shoulder. That was deep. Like Atlantic Ocean deep. Yeah?
That was an advice that you also gave me. Like, I only do what my goal asks of me, and that's it. Like, I don't go and read books over here, do this.
Yeah.
I only do what my goal. So, your goal will let you become a leader if that's what your goal asks of you.
Your goal should make you into what you want to become. Like I said, was asking, he's reading all these books in personal development. I'm like, okay. What was one of the books you were reading? Like a random book.
I think I was reading 48 Laws of Power.
48 Laws of Power. I'm like, why are you reading that? He goes, well, what was your answer?
It's interesting.
It's interesting. I'm like, oh, murdering time is interesting too, but I don't like to partake in that because you're wasting your time. He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, what is 48 Laws of Power how is that gonna help you achieve your goal of becoming a great salesman? He goes, well, I just want to learn it because it's interesting. I'm like, well, in that case, let's go pick up some biology too, because that's interesting. Have you noticed the body is really interesting? And then while we're at it, let's go read some Dr. Seuss. That's a really interesting book. But is that wasting your time or is it helping you achieve your goal? He goes, well, it's not helping me achieve my goal. I'm like, 48 Laws of Power is written by people that are in positions of power and positions where like they can be taken advantage of, right? So that they read the book as a defense to learn how people are, so that they know how to, counterintuitively react to them, right? Like I read that book a long time ago because I wanted to learn when I'm in a position of power one day how to manage what I know, who's doing good intention or bad intention. That's what the book's about. Robert Greene is also a little insane, so I wouldn't really recommend him as an author. No, I'm serious. Have you seen his interviews? He's a little crazy, man. I never assumed that the book would come out of him.
Yeah.
He seems so I don't know.
Eccentric.
He's mischievous, mischievous. Anyways, my point is, I'm like, dude, why are you reading books that don't matter? Stop. You don't want to become a library shelf. Library shelves are useless. I'm like, I can read one book and implement it and get further than if you read 100 books past me. Because I'm doing something with it. So he immediately went and picked up sales books. Because that's my goal. So see, he didn't ask about how should I become, a good salesperson. He didn't ask that question, right? If he asked the question like, what do I want? I want to be a good salesperson. Okay, what do I need to do to get there? Well, I need to learn more about sales. So let me pick up a sales book. But he didn't come into me and ask me like, do you recommend a way to read books? Or what kind of authors? No, he didn't say that. That's focused on, you're focusing on the useless logistics of getting to your goal. Like the captain, imagine the captain's trying to get to the destination. He looks around like, guys, do you think the color theme in the cabin doesn't make sense? Do you think our uniforms don't match the floor? What? What are you, Captain, what are you here for? To look nice or to get to the destination? So that's the greatest, I never really want to give advice, but that's the greatest advice I probably ever given on leadership, which is your destination, your goal should be what makes you a leader, not your goal to be a leader.
Yeah.
And anyone, by the way, who wants to be a leader, usually is not. They're not qualified. What I mean is, you look at, there's the famous story of Egypt and the slaves.
Mm-hmm.
What was
Moses?
that? Moses. Moses didn't want to be Moses. He didn't want to part the sea and do all this stuff, right? He didn't want to. He didn't care. But when the need for the problem showed up in front of him, where he's like, this has to stop, he got a goal. And his purpose now was to save the people. Because his purpose was to save the people, God sent him a staff. He developed courage and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
God sent all the weather stuff that,
The plagues.
Yeah, the plagues. You would say that man is now a very powerful leader or, a prophet, whatever. Do you think he sat there and was like, oh God, I wish I could be a prophet? What book should I read to be a prophet? He didn't care. The goal wasn't to become Moses.
Yeah.
The goal was to save the people. And guess what the byproduct was? I have to become Moses to save the people.
That's deep.
Just got biblical.
That's deep.
Right now, I'm drowning in the deepness.
I mean, I have a question for you. From all that you said it's not about like people could read 100 books. You could read one book, implement it, and be more successful than the other person, right? So it comes down to this question I'm going to give you. What's your definition of an educated person? Like, what's your definition? Who's
An educated individual?
Because someone will say traditionally, oh, go to school, become a doctor. That's an educated person.
No,
And your
that a
definition-
doctor is educated in science or medicine, right? That's why he's a doctor.
Yeah.
I think a relatively educated person in life is someone who understands the philosophies and principles of life. We call those people not educated. We call those people wise men or monks or gurus, and that's what they call it because they've understood the same way a doctor or a lawyer would study medicine or law. They become an educated lawyer. They don't become an educated individual. They're educated in law.
Yeah.
You want to become an educated human being, you must understand the laws and the science behind being a human being, like life. So when you study how life works and how people work, I believe you're a really educated person. Because now you're understanding what is the laws to success and to failure, to human nature and you know, how it relates to the world we live on.
Yeah.
And you start to be able to process all the like very necessary factors and variables that make life. Like your ability to communicate with others is a factor of life that you must understand and be educated on. The way to take something you want and make it happen in real life. The way to understand your own problems and handle adversities because that happens to everybody. The way to handle success when you get there. The way to build things in your life. The way to create a family. The way to solve things, to master your emotions. These things every one of us have. So when you understand those faculties of life, now you're an educated individual in my opinion. You're an educated like human.
Agreed.
But if I learned marketing, I'm an educated marketer.
Exactly.
I'm not an educated human. That's why I meet a lot of people that have money. They're educated in making money, but they're completely like infidel. Like they're children when it comes to living life. They have no idea how to make themselves happy. They have no idea how to make other people happy. They have no idea how to do anything with their life that's peaceful. They just know how to make money. So, yeah.
And that's like you meet other people who's a great salesman but has such a horrible character.
Yeah, there's a lot of
They're
people
great
that...
at this, but they're not like intelligent as like the human form.
They're good at one thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But if here's my philosophy. If you want to be good at one thing, and you're going to put all your eggs in that basket, get good at the thing that covers everything, which is life. It's like learn what makes life good. That's a very broad topic. Go find the people that made good lives for themselves, happy lives, and they were wealthy, and there's no fear, no issues, no limitations. Study their life and that's what Think and Grow Rich is, and understand what were the factors of that life. Educate yourself on that, and then you'll know how to make yourself a good life, not just good in one thing.
Yeah.
And when you make a good life, the byproduct is you're good at everything because you have peace of mind. So that's an educated individual to me. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So basically, seek for wisdom, not knowledge. Because wisdom is understanding, like thinking is the philosophy.
Yeah, knowledge is one thing. That's what I'm saying. Don't just read a bunch of books. Wisdom is your ability to apply and learn from experience with it.
Yes.
That's your definition of wisdom.
Yeah, wisdom is like first of all, wisdom is two things. It's time. A young person cannot be, it's impossible to be more wise than an older person. If they both were applying and getting experience.
Books, there's like 30 years of experience of someone that went through life and wrote down a book. Even though you read it.
Like if you read Napoleon's work in his 30s, Think and Grow Rich, and then you read Grow Rich to Peace of Mind when he was in his 80s, you can see a vast difference. Because time, he was both the same intelligent man, but time grew his maturity, his wisdom was different. So his perspective was different. So like I can't be more wise than someone twice my age if we both have been learning. Because he has experience. So time is an inevitable factor to wisdom. Doesn't mean young people can't be wiser than old people. They can.
Yes.
Because you could have, if you're 45 and done nothing with your life, you have zero wisdom because you've applied nothing. If I, for the last 5 years, being at 24 now, have been applying what I learned, I have 5 years more wisdom than the 45-year-old who's never done anything.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if the man was since 20 years old and I'm 20, he's 20 years ahead of me in applying. His wisdom is going to be vastly more bigger than mine at 4 years in or 5 years in. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's so interesting, and it brings me back because I was reading on Lock It, and he's talking about how money loves speed. And if someone makes $25,000 a year, and it takes him 40 years to make a mil, like 1 million, and it takes me 1 year to make $1 million, I'm 40 times richer than that person because time. And he said wealth is measured by time, not wealth.
Yeah.
And you're talking about
wisdom comes with time in the application of knowledge, because like when you do, you get experience. From experience over time, you get perspective. Example: you can make $1 million. I don't know, your first year in business. Okay, you're not wise yet. You're just good at making money.
Yeah.
10 years pass by and you've made $1 million every single year for 10 years. You have now 10 years of a perspective change on how it is to make money that way. So the person now starting to make his first million and you've made your 10th million in a row, you're making the same amount of money as each other, right?
Yeah.
A year. But the thing is, the person 10 years more experience has wisdom about what you do, what that money brings, the experience of what that money causes, what it takes.
Yep.
That the first person can't understand. The early person. We got comments?
Yeah. So Nasi says, I'm wondering how I can do marketing for client for life coaching. She also says, I want to do spiritual, finance, and relationship life coaching.
Where's this from?
Can you give me
What
some
platform?
new Instagram?
My Instagram.
Yep.
Hey,
And I saw some videos you sent via email, but all of them.
Nancy, send me a DM. Send me a
DM.
DM and I'll send you some free content on like how to do that. So I'll help you out with that. Go ahead.
No, she said that she saw some of your content via email,
Yeah.
but most of them were in person.
Yeah.
So she wants some tips on how to do it virtually for masters.
Oh, that's good to know. All my stuff is online right now. So the emails are not in person. I talked about doing events, but now I do virtual events. It's the exact same process. We need to work on that.
Okay.
Because people might think it's still events.
There's also Sadat Laila. She says, hi Janet, love the yellow.
That's my mom.
Hi. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Any other comments?
On your comment, we just have Erica Alvaranga. She just gave you like a wave, so she's enjoying it.
Awesome. Sounds good. I just want to tack on for advice to give to someone in a position of leadership. So, when you're first starting out, and Armin talked about it quite a bit, you've got to deal with your own stuff, right? I think that being a credible leader and just being a leader are two different things, right? So you want to be able to lead from the front credibly, knowing that you have, dealt with your own demons, knowing that you've dealt with your insecurities, knowing that you are actually going to lead your team from a credible source of, knowledge, wisdom, and peace of mind. I think that one of the biggest mistakes that leaders do is they are like, I'm a leader. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at this. I'm good at this. Let me go lead a team. And then you lead a team of people who all are just like you, insecure. They give you issues. You're always like, I don't know how to manage them. You'll run into more problems later. And naturally, it's because you manifested them first.
You ain't a leader.
You're not, right? Until you genuinely, I think the first step before you should even think about a position of leadership is like, let me tackle my own insecurities. Let me deal with the stuff that I don't really like. And let me become in tune with who I am to achieve peace of mind, to then be able to lead people from a credible source, right? I would say that that's number one, right? Secondly, I would say if you do want to be in a position of leadership, like Armin said, it is a byproduct, right? It's a byproduct of the goal that you're setting out. So I want to be this person, I want to be this manager, etc. Naturally, if you're following that goal, you'll have to lead people eventually. I would say to always have have the clarity. Armin mentioned that, but also just caring about the people who are on your team and trying to bring the best that's within them out. Right? Every individual who's going to be on your team in the future is going to be different. And there's going to be a way that you need to cater to Bobby Joe, and there's going to be another way that you can bring the best out of James. But you're not going to know that until you get to know them individually and say, okay, this is how I can bring this out of this person. This is how I can bring this out of that person. This is how I can motivate them to be the best version of themselves, right? Every individual on your team, bring that forth in them. Not everybody's going to be able to react the same way to different circumstances. So 1, get to know yourself. 2, get to know your team. And 3, I would follow that up with get to know your product, get to know your service, and be an expert in what you want to bring forth to the table, right?
How many questions did we answer today? Like
6.
6. That's good. That was a good episode. So we love you guys so much for tuning in every single week. Remember, it's every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. You can go to askarmin.com to submit your questions, get them answered. We have them right in front of us, so we add them to a list, and we answer them like this on the call. Make sure you put context to your questions so that we can actually help you out. Give us scenarios. Maybe we can add that to the form, where it's a current situation and question. We should do that. I do that with my coaching clients. Might as well do this. All right, cool. So, and by the way, if you're on Facebook, hit that share button, share challenge, so that we can get other people to tune in and also get this valuable knowledge as well. If you're on Instagram, make sure you send us a DM, even though you can't see this recording anymore. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, that little notification bell, so that we can bring you more valuable content every single week. Love you so much, and make the rest of your week the best of your week.